Welcome to the Wrap, episode number 41. It is Thursday, April 27th. I'm Nathan Guerra. Anna Russel is sat next to me, and this is a show rounding up all things Zwift from the last week. We're talking racing, events, tech, fashion, etc. We are live on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. This is also a podcast that you can download anywhere that you do get your podcasts. Go ahead and search up The Wrap and Zwift. You should be able to find that real easily. It is also located over on ZwiftCommunityLive.com, where you can find all things about Zwift Community Live and especially The Wrap. Now, today on this episode, we've got a couple of topics we're going to be going over. We are going to be rounding up what's been going on with the Chasing Tour and the Classics, and then looking forward to Chasing Pink. We're going to be talking about what's happening with the Women's Racing Series. There is a mission that's launched alongside of the workout series, which is kind of interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that. We had some discussion in the pre-productions about pace partners and testing PD4 a little bit, and I know the PD4 thing has been going on and on, but it's definitely a hot topic still, as we're still all figuring it out. Of course, when we talk about what we've been up to for the last week, and we have an awesome guest from one of the all-time great Zwift racing teams. That is BL13, one of the founding members. Grant Womack is going to be with us. He's going to be telling us all about their Zwift story and how BL13 is launching a women's team and some pretty interesting tactics they've had in racing. Of course, we've got the fashion as well. Let us know what you think about that backward cap and Newbury Velo kit. We'll go over that at the end of the show. So, Anna, how's it going?
Good. I feel like I'm back to a week of normality. The kids are back at school, and so I could get back into like my routine. So yeah, it's been a good week. So over here, did you guys have something over there like Veterans Day or something?
Yes,
like
we have like two of those, but we have one.
Okay.
We have one main one though. Yes.
Yeah, so we had that on Tuesday. So it's like Australia and New Zealand. It's called Anzac Day. So Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. And
we did a thing with that with Zwift actually. Sorry to interrupt you, but like I'm familiar with Anzac because we would do these events around it.
Yes, and we had an event. So there was an event on Tuesday. It was there were 3 events, but I could only make one. So I did that event. It was actually really hard. Like you had all the hitters there, like a lot of the riders from the world champs in both the New Zealand and Aussie teams. And so, yeah, it like went pretty hard. And you had like category A was the Aussies and they were all in green. And then category B were the Kiwis and they were all in black. And so you were just like fighting it out. It was fun though. I did a course I've never done. Something on Macquarie Islands, bridges and boardwalks or something like that, short loops. Yeah, it was good. So that was fun Zwifting. And then and then we did the women's racing series on Wednesday my time. And look, okay, I've been thinking about it. I was like, what do I say? I was like, the race was terrible for me. But I think there's 2 things. One is I'm just like, not at the peak level to be racing these ladies. Like, it's just, I need to accept it. It's not sort of what I used to do in Zwift is just go into races for fun, right? Like, just kind of be like, this is fun. These, like, I don't see any drop in form of like Kristen Kulczynski or Liz since Worlds. Like, they're just still at that level. And I am like, not at that level. Like, I think I'm gonna embrace, like, I'm a community racer. Like, this level is
a season. Okay, Coach Nathan wants to come out and be like, there's also like season and where you're at in your training season. I mean, and if you haven't been focusing, I know for a fact, like, some of those ladies are still pretty focused, and you got like, there's a huge difference like between focused and not focused as far as where a season goes. So I just, as a coach, I would not sell yourself short, because I saw you at the front. I saw you with them, and I wouldn't sell yourself short being able to be with them even if you're not focused right now like they are. So that's all I would say there.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. I think there's like another part too is like, I love racing in the Zwift Community League. And I've kind of realized that probably 70% of that is because I'm on Discord chatting with my teammates. And like 30% is like, there's a race going on. Whereas this one, like, it was like I was chit-chatting in the start pen and it was just me and Cassandra Rush, Crush It. And I was like, man, it's like tumbleweeds out here. Like, it just felt so serious. So anyway, I was like, I'm going to forget those races. It's too serious for me at the moment. And also I have to get up at like before 5 in the morning. And I'm like, if there's no motivation, there's no motivation. But they are seriously. So I ended up just like chilling off the back and doing some work and then was like fan viewing the front of the race. Holy shit, man. Like, it's next level. Like those sprints.
Those sprints were crazy. They were crazy.
Yeah, insane.
Gabby hit all-time power numbers on them.
Yeah. Like, I'm not surprised. I mean, I dropped, I don't know, climb number 2. And then they're still sprint. I was very impressed. Although something weird happened. I don't know if Gabby mentioned it. So we actually, a group of us, started to catch up to the leaders again, riding at like 3 watts a kg. Because obviously they were chilling in between each sprint. Until this rider came past us going at like 5.5 watts a kg. And then she stayed at that literally the whole race. And so then what happened is she caught up to the pack and then pushed the pack speed up. And so the pack was like gone after that. They went up to like 3 minutes ahead. So I was like, oh well. But anyway, and then last night, yeah, so long story short, I think I've decided what I'm enjoying the most now is just like doing some nice workouts, like getting in there. I did the first Spring Classics workout, which was fun. We have our club workout last night where I actually pushed it pretty hard. And we have a topic. I have a topic for each of our club workouts. And last night was the central governor theory. So we're like chatting about that, whether it's like your brain or your muscles that fatigue you to failure. Yeah, so that was me.
What about you, Nathan? Great time for your focus, Anna, to focus on some workouts, not racing. Like, get ready for next season. I think that's a really good, I don't know, sorry, not more Coach Nathan coming out. But what about me? I don't know. We just had this cool pre-productions, and I just wanted to show everybody what Anna Russel is actually up to most of the time in her pre-productions. I hope Kate Bates is okay with this because, and we'll give her a shout out and everything here, but check this out. This is what actually goes on in pre-productions.
And the live picture on Australia.
For those that are here,
went to one of the
that are at least in the podcast. We're literally
sitting
watching
in his home office. But he didn't
Anna vacuum in pre-production.
In the background with this giant tuba.
This was at ZRL. So anyways, I found that today. While going through. We were clearing out like a ton of old video that just wasn't needed to be around on drives anymore. And all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, I recorded this. And we had such a laugh about this actually. And do you remember that day?
Yeah.
Like, you went to go vacuum and Kate and I, we just had a great time. Anyways, shout out to Kate Bates and the great times we had. So that's usually what goes on in pre-productions is a lot of vacuuming and cleaning things up to make sure everything looks just right.
Am I a control freak? I think so.
I just wanted real quick, the Wheelhouse with Kate and Joel, she's actually on a podcast now too as well, there's some cool stuff there. So, and speaking of Aussies and NZ, we had to bring the Aussie in, right, with Anzac Day. Yeah. So.
Oh my God, I can't believe that. I've got this, like, the space downstairs, it is mine, and it always has to be immaculate. You know, like, it's just my clean, nice space. There's no like children's clutter. There's nothing. And so I got down here. I was like, the kids have been down here. I was like, wait, hold up. I got a vacuum. So there we go.
Hey, you and Gabby got a lot in common. That's for sure. There was like a couple applesauce pouches missing today. And she was like, were you eating the applesauce? I was like, yeah, it was me. It was me.
Oh my God. Have you been Zwifting, Nathan?
Yes. So, okay, what I've been up to, I am heading toward my build 1, build 2. And so there's been like the final layers of foundation. With the final layers of foundation, I've been doing a lot of sweet spot work. So I went from like really large base, hours in zone 2, with some of that sweet spot type stuff work earlier in the year. And then I moved much more into, after my body was able to handle massive hours, then you go and you start stacking up, as much as you can up until not quite threshold, throwing in larger and larger foundations for the ability essentially to recover as high as you possibly can. So I've never used sweet spot this much before though. And I've just been like seeing so much return on that specifically SST long workout on Zwift that the gains are not marginal. I mean, it's like I am upping it by, and the thing is like, it's not like there was any wiggle room. I was failing right at like a certain wattage, and then I didn't fail, and the heart rate came way down. I was like, oh, I responded. And then the next one, I went and did it again at an increased 5 to 10 watts, and heart rate was down still. And then I increased 5 to 10 watts, and heart rate was down or up or whatever. And okay, now we're at the limit. We complete that one, and just have progressively, I mean, within a workout or two, seen gains of like up to 30 to 40 watts. I'm like, this is insane, like insane SST gains. So seeing that, I'm really excited about the foundations, because when you lay foundations like that, a lot of times the whole pyramid rises, right? So I'm hoping that we get some really good experiences in the high. And then for my high intensity, because race season is coming, I just do like the classics, and that can shift us into the Chasing Tour classics, because I raced since we had John, right? John Marine, right? Is that who I'm thinking of? I believe.
Yes.
Starts with a J. Yeah. Okay. And since we had him on to talk about Chasing Tour, I did almost every one on Sunday, and those were stacked. God. They were stacked.
Yeah.
Like, and I did the one this past week, and Ed Laverick was actually in there. He also has a YouTube channel. If you don't know Ed Laverick, he's raced on Zwift forever. He's also, I think, a UK hill climb champion in the past. So he's really, really strong light rider though. And so, it was great to have him in there, because he likes to give it a go. And it wasn't just like sit around, a whole lot. There were a couple others like Velocio, Charles McCarthy was in there from Velocio, a few others from some big hitter teams. Next was showing up. So I just attacked like crazy over and over again, because I was just like, I need an anaerobic workout today to complement what's coming for racing, and not just focus completely on the foundations. So that was a lot of fun. I ended up slipping a chain though in the end. Anyways, excuses. I replaced my chain. I replaced my cassette. Now we're good to go. But Chasing Tour is over. But I thought that I noticed that there are a lot of people actually chasing the Chasing Tour. They were watching the standings. They were really excited about where they were going. And I could tell that the groups were afraid to attack, even because there was stuff on the line. So when you have more on the line, you are a little less willing to take those risks and find yourself in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, and just saying, Chasing Classics is over. Chasing Tour is the brand. So that's that's still going.
The brand, yeah.
Chasing Pink, which obviously is following the Giro, which I'm looking at now, is starting May 9th. I was actually starting to look at this because I'm part of the Chasing Tour Zwift Club, so I can see the upcoming events. Now, this is where I have a discussion with myself, because I'm like, man, that just looks really epic. Like, cool. It's racing from May 9th through to May 28th. So that's pretty much coming up in about 10 days. Almost every day they have rest days like the tour does on like May 15th, May 20 something. I mean, like, because I know that with Zwift, right, these used to be just people riding. They were like ride-along watch parties. That's what we heard from the organizer. But now I think they're full races, right? And I'm like, I need to stop racing. But this just looks so tantalizing, because I can see not many people would do the whole thing, right? And so then you can kind of get into that real points, like, where am I chasing and all of that. So I can see how it's such a drive to keep going, but I just don't know if I can. I feel like I'll get near the end and be like, this was a bad decision to try and do this whole thing. You know, I really want to
do that. And like, you got to do out of sight, out of mind somehow, because, because you're going to want to do all of it to be competitive and not be out of the standings. If you start from the beginning, maybe just don't do the first one and then you know that you're out of it. And then
who cares?
Just like, who cares or something? I don't know. Like, because
there are some good courses. Like, I mean, there's a lot of climbing stuff too, but there's kind of this flat. Obviously, they've got an ITT in there for the people who like the time trials. 2 of them, and one of the ITTs is the Innsbruck Hill Climb. Wow. Maybe that'll be the day I do like a FTP test or something.
There you go. There you go. I just would, I would definitely tell, my encouragement toward you is weight room, hit the weight room, start doing some like longer rides, like, but I mean, I know you're heading into winter, so it's like, that can be a little bit more difficult too with the longer ride thing, but I'm like, polarize your training to one end right now.
I know. It's so I've written a training plan and then I look at this and I go, you know what I'm like? I'm like, oh, this looks so fun. Flag that whole training plan. Let's go do this. But I think I'm in that sort of rut of like every race is terrible. And so what's the point? So yeah, it's this, if I could literally do this as a group ride, like if I could force myself to do that, it would actually be really good because it would be basically like 20 days of doing good distance day after day. It'd be like a real good block. Whether I can do that or not. Maybe like you said, I'll miss the first two and then the points will be out of my head.
Maybe they need an e-pen where it's like everyone just chills.
Oh, we'd still race it though, right?
I don't know. Maybe not if there were no points. Not if there was like no points, right? Like it's like there's no points.
Yeah.
If you want points and you want it tracked, go here. This pen is for chilling. Like, I don't know.
And you get like named and shamed.
Oh man. The one place where we're okay with naming and shaming. Not in the Chasing Tour e-pen. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Anna says, calm down, Anna. We could change it to a calm down, Anna. Chris, we just get Chris in there and she'll just take care of everybody for you.
Love it. Okay. Get her in there.
Okay.
So have you done,
Go ahead.
Have you done any of the Spring Classics workouts yet?
No, I write all my own stuff. So I kind of, I'm such a snob. Write all my own stuff, but like, I haven't looked at those. What I mean by that is I haven't looked at those to add into what I'm doing because I would have to pair those with some other things. I guess I could have used it. There's one in there that I think is really good for anaerobic capacity. There was one in there that I think could be used with a little bit of adjustments to it to really stress the anaerobic capacities. But I just kind of go to my like bread and butter ones because the way that those are written also have like a warm up in them and then like a cool down factor even a little bit. And like a lot of the times right now when I'm doing my anaerobic, it's like race and then throw anaerobic workout on top of it or whatever. Like it just doesn't fit for me.
Yeah.
So that's my excuse for not doing them.
One learning I've had from writing these workouts for our club is I do not like the ramp down, warm down. That's like the block that you put in. Oh my God, because you've just done this. Like I usually finish the session with like sprints and then suddenly you do the warm down. You're like, yes, warm down. And you've like done your recovery from the sprint at, for me, like 80 watts, like really spinning. And then the warm down hits and you go to like 170. It's like, what? So,
like you're right back in the workout. You're right back in the, yeah.
And it only gets down to 80 at the end of the warm down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to keep spinning for like another 10 minutes. So that was a good learning. I was going to ask you, what do you have like when you do these workouts, you know it's going to be a hard one. Do you put like a song on repeat? Do you have like a something that's like you hit it every time?
I have really familiar songs right now, actually, like super familiar playlist. And I add things to that playlist very sparingly, super sparingly.
Okay,
and
yeah.
So, and it actually got a little cluttered even at this point where like I have to take some things off of there and like remake a whole new one because I started liking things and then they like put them in there automatically and stuff. So I use YouTube Music right now, and they would automatically put some things in this certain liked list. So I need to change that up, but. Yeah, I don't use the same one over and over again. Part of that also might have to do with what kind of workouts I'm doing right now because they're such long form intervals, right? Like I'm looking at a workout and I essentially have a straight interval for 2 hours right now, like an interval session. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's all the way through. If they were shorter, I might use something on repeat like that actually.
We had this discussion last night, and I also have like a mix that I call Motivated, and it has very like select songs on it. But last night I listened to the soundtrack of Gladiator. And it
Oh,
was like,
that would work.
yeah,
That'd work 100%.
it was
I would
quite
think.
good. Yeah, it was motivating because it was just like instrumental, but I was just like, yeah, like it really motivated me. So anyway, there we go.
Epic
Now that I'm doing
music,
more
that more
workouts,
epic instrumental can hit different. And I
Yeah.
think it hits different because we're so dance trance, like, I don't know, bebopping so much lately. I think in a lot of our exercise spaces that I think that change up does come across pretty nice sometimes. So okay, let's go to.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all good. Let's go to. I want a little bit of a talking point on the May workout mission, which seems to be tacked on to the completing the series, the spring series. Okay, yay, there's a mission. I was like excited. I was like, cool. What does that mean? You know what I mean? And then like, I'm excited about it. You can do 4 workouts and it's a motivator. I hope it motivates people. And then I like kind of thought about like what I get out of it and like what was put into the game to create the mission. And I was like, you just get a badge that's on like a buried page somewhere, like that nobody looks at. Like, when's the last time you looked at your badges?
When I got that running one last week was probably the last time.
I mean, I hadn't looked at my badges in a year, maybe. Like, I just
see. I think there's a difference between like the badges you get for things that are always sitting there, you know, and they're grayed out, and you see them, and you're like, I need that because it's grayed out, and it's always going to be grayed out until I do it.
Mission. Yeah, mission is what I'm after.
The missions, I don't really care. What mission did I care about? The Everesting one, I think. If there's a unlock, like I did the watch the femme workout purely because I got those sunglasses, which no one seemed to know about. So no one's really got the sunglasses. So I'm loving them. But yeah, no, I don't really care. I was kind of confused with that because I was like, isn't the Spring Classics workout series on? So now there's 2 workout series.
Yeah, so they're 2 different things. So I'll just show real quickly. I do have Zwift up right now. The spring training is one thing, right? And that is you can do this and you complete the workouts that are really specific we had just talked about, right? Spring training. And then you have also, starts in 3 days, the May Work It Out mission.
Oh.
And so I'm checked into this, and if you complete 4 unique workouts, you get a badge, a mission badge, you know? And so then I'm like, oh, you get badges. Now you go to this screen, and you got all this stuff, and I've completed 23 missions or whatever, and it's way down here. Now, I think, just as some feedback, is like, this stuff right here that's all in here, first of all, even these badges, I'm like, they're cool when they unlock in front of you in game, but they're still buried on some meaningless page. So like if we logged into this and you were in a garage and the garage looked like, you know, my avatar here like this, right? And and I was in my garage and it kind of like more of a Gran Turismo style where you log in and there's your car and here's the stuff that's on it. And up at the top, here's all the missions you have completed. And your next mission is da-da-da-da. It'll get you this mix XP to go to this level. And you kind of walk into your garage where you're setting everything up and you own your equipment and there's just like no ownership value. Like there's just like, why, what? So sorry, I don't mean to be critical too much, Zwift, but like, so what? Like, there's got to be something more to it.
Do you think it's like a Zwift, in my opinion, is evolving into more of a mass fitness model? Do you think this is just part of that? Like it's their way to promote to people, go off and do these 4 workouts. You get a bit of motivation so I don't think they're targeting the people like us who are going to be on there anyway doing stuff. It's the people who are more fitness based and are like, oh, cool, I want to get fit.
I'll do like a May in their personal mission. And for May, I'm going to complete this and I'll get the path. I agree with that 100%. I'm tying, I guess like what you may have heard just now is all of this tie-in that like I'm only tying in to accomplish that same goal you just said though. Like it's not like I am not after that same thing with the general fitness person because I'm just making it more obvious right here and giving them something more attached to it. So I'm just like, well, we could do this. This would be cooler and more obvious if it had these more things to it, I guess. So that's all.
Yeah, I don't know what would motivate me to. I mean, obviously, Everesting badge I wanted because you get the Tron. So I mean, I don't know, like, but then you can't just keep having unlocks all the time because otherwise your garage is just going to be like insane. And someone's calling you out that, oh my God, you have 46 million drops. Like, you need to spend some. But,
well, on what? What am I going to spend them on, Anna?
Oh, no. I mean,
okay,
I think a fix that will fix all of this will be garage sale or like.
Well, you want to create a currency in game. Ooh, now we're really going somewhere.
Well, just because like I don't need to unlock anything else. I just actually don't want to clutter my garage anymore. And so if you can kind of like mix, I don't know, a way to make that look cleaner so that, yeah, badge is actually cool. Like maybe you have this plain white jersey and every time you get a badge, you get a sticker on, like a Boy Scouts thing.
I'm not even top. I'm not even like I got buddies who are 60 million, 60, almost 70 million, like that are also in the same boat of like protest. Oh, like it's almost like a protest at this point. Like that I am not spending anything until there's something to spend it on. Like that makes some sort of value sense. And I know that a few of them are in the same boat that I'm waiting. I'm waiting until, and I do spend, you guys. It's not like I have 60 million. I've spent some. I have things that are fast that help me to gain something in game. But I there's a part of me, you want to talk about like being like, this like nitpicky about all this stuff. Well, here's where I'm nitpicky is like, I've put some effort into these things and I'm not just going to spend them willy nilly. Like you want to get these out of me. I need something to actually use them for.
No kidding. 46 million. I've got like 2.5 million. Maybe I've been spending too much.
Maybe you're not riding enough. No, just kidding. You're riding plenty. You're riding plenty. All right, real quick.
Maybe I'm not racing enough.
Oh my gosh. Anything will come out to self-motivate Anna to race more. Don't even need chasing pink. Oh my goodness. All right. So real quick conversation on PD4. There was this article that you had mentioned in pre-productions with coming out from Zwift Insider. And I'll admit I have not read the whole article just yet, but I'm glancing over it and it's got 5 points. Reduce pack speed was supposed to happen. Make it less punishing if you're dropped. Easier to bridge back up. Make breakaways have a slightly better chance of sticking. Reduce the number of bunch sprint finishes in a race. And reduce churn and rider movement in large packs. So, and essentially, you had said at the beginning of the program, what did you say? That essentially it's saying that these things have kind of worked, but not really.
Yeah, it's saying like those were the 5 goals. And Eric, because it's a good article, so I'd go read it. Every point he kind of goes through and like pretty much everyone hasn't really been met. But the part that I found quite interesting with the PD4 discussion was he goes into that, like he did testing with the pace partners and PD4 and kind of showed why the pace partners feel different. Now I had Jen Real message me and be like, I went on a group ride and it felt fine. And then I did some pace partners and it felt terrible. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, what are you talking about? But she's actually right. So the pace partners, it is harder to hang with the pack because, so what Eric's saying is that Zwifters have learned to try just to stay ahead of the pace partner. And so the pace partner isn't setting the pace on the front of the pack, but is rather in the draft. And because there's double draft, the bot or the pace partner is keeping the same power, but is now moving faster. So riders will need to put out about 5 to 10% more power to be on the front of the robo-pacer group. Yeah, I mean, I never.
So I'm going to jump in. Let's stay on that point. Let's stay on that point, okay, real quickly.
Yeah, you go.
And then we will leave it at this point, okay? Because I want to really dive into all of this at some point, and maybe next week or the week after. Maybe we can have Eric on even, like because these are all really good things to look into, I think, and also I know that PD4 is not just here you go. And that's, I have a feeling, and I think up front it was said, this is, not done. Like, yes, this is live and good to go now for a while, but I have a feeling they'll take another look at it and continue to evolve it, I would hope. But it's not like that with Constance. And the reason why it's not like that with Constance, right? So if I jump in with Constance 4.0 on a flat route, I can do 2.9 watts per kilogram now. Way less than I was able to do before. Okay? And so what's happening is exactly what he's talking about, is that there's a lot of fighting going on now within, and because of what Zwifters are used to, they're driving that pace forward. But with a faster bot, unless somebody shows up and wants to do 5 watts per kilogram all day long on the front of a Constance group, it does get harder. And you actually do have to ramp it up a little bit. But even in that group, because it's a smaller group and there's not as much pushing going on, you can sit in a lot more. So even then, when I had somebody jump in, I was still able to hold a steady 3.1, 3.0 on a 4.2 bot, actually, with somebody pushing 5 watts per kilogram at the front because of the pushing. And so when I say pushing, is you have to hold position now. You can't just churn about. You can't just mess around. And so it was made to reduce churn. But Zwifters don't know what they're doing. I'm so, I'm constantly like, stop pushing. Like, and I want a button. All the buttons in Zwift to communicate, like with like nonverbal communication or just the ride on thing, like they're all too nice. Like I need one that's like, stop pushing, elbows in, or like what do you like? And then the avatar's saying it, and I'm not like typing something, because like when text comes through, it's like it feels more like somebody's hitting you a little bit. But if my avatar was like, dude, back off. Like, or just kind of was like, hey, like, you're not supposed to ride that way. And you were able to, like, in the game through your avatar communicate it, maybe then people would take it a little bit nicer. Because I try and say things during pack rides now, like, dude, back off a little bit. Or here, like, and I try and, like, help a little bit to, like, keep things. But everyone's so used to riding this way with these pace partners that they just get mad. They're like, yeah, because they've grown to this, like, culture of pace partnering, it feels like now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I rode with, I sent you an image because I was in camera angle 3 to give it a go, which actually was pretty good, I'll have to admit. But I rode with a C group, I think, and there were only like 7 of us. And I found it pretty sweet. Like, I think a group of like 100 plus, or, when it gets really big, it'll be hard work. But yeah, a group of like 7 was pretty good. Now, I don't want to like be too controversial or get in trouble here, but like I have been like playing in another platform, shock horror, that isn't Zwift. And like, I've got to say, like, that platform has a draft meter. So similar to what Source was doing, but in quite I would say a very clean and clear way. I just feel like something like that would change behavior of people a little bit, because you can see visually like, oh, I have totally moved off the draft, or like, oh, I'm like in a really good draft here, so I can probably back it off a little bit.
So then the avatar doesn't have to communicate, and the game actually communicates it.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I mean,
essentially I was trying to like communicate through the avatar.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
So you're
Stop
the draft
it.
meter.
Right? Instead of just having something say, hey, you're doing it wrong. Because then if you could see that you just made somebody go to 0% draft and that they went backwards, you go, oh, I actually messed something up, and people just don't know right now. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. So I interrupted you.
So
but go ahead.
So people can kind of learn a bit more through visual cues, right? But then half of me is like, oh, well, but you learn Zwiftcraft and it benefits you to know this and not someone else. But then that's a bit of a selfish view. So, and actually, to be honest, when that meter is up there, everyone seems to behave a bit better, and it makes the experience just a little bit more enjoyable. So yeah, I don't know. I think PD4's got a little bit of weight. Now, I've got a question here with it. So obviously, if Zwift was starting today as a company with the historical knowledge that they had, say, so very hypothetical, they would start pretty radically different, I think, with drafting as to the journey they've been on. Like they've had a lot of learnings, right? So they'd probably be like, man, we've had all these learnings. When we put drafting in game, it's going to look like this. Do you think because there's all this history of people Zwifting and knowing the draft, and there's always heat when the draft dynamics change, that they can only change them in such incremental little ways that don't really massively shift the dial? Like they can't come in and be like, okay, throw it all out, we're starting anew with this, and it's going to be like this. You're going to see auto braking, you're going to see a draft meter, you're going to see like these kind of things. Are they kind of stuck in a position because of the history that they really can't like throw everything out and start anew? They have to just tweak?
Yeah, that's probably a thing. I would definitely say that that's probably a thing, is that large, big changes probably would do that. I think they do. I think even PD4, with my interactions with some of the developers, was like, this is going to be a really different. And some people are really not going to like it. You know what I mean? And that was some of the communication, which tells me what's in their head. Oh, boy. People might not, you know what I mean? So I think that does probably hold things up a little bit there. That's a pretty good point on the whole idea of, it's only going to be a slow moving change within the draft dynamics and how they function. So it is interesting on the larger, huge packs with pace partners interacting one way and the group rides interacting another way because of that steady pace partner being there. In a group ride, you're not going to push as much because you don't have to hold this necessarily steady pace, and everybody can kind of be trusting they're not going to lose the group, and so you don't have people scrambling. And it doesn't necessarily help that in like a 100-person bunch, it's going to tell you to catch up to the pace partner over and over and over again. So then people feel like they have to catch up because the motivation is to get the points, is to get the multiplier. Yeah. And then if you lose your multiplier, you lose part of the reason why you're there. So that means, I think there's got to be a big adjustment on that communication, because that communication is almost actually fighting against the communication of you're needing to stay in line and not push people around. And if you're going to push people around, do it to get to another position. So, because there still is that massive turn then.
When I go into the home screen and pick a pace partner, I usually pick one who's got like less than 20 people now, because I'm like, oh, that's more fun. Whereas before I'd be like, 100 people, cool, let's go do that. So my mentality has shifted. I want the smallest group possible as opposed to the huge rolling round packs.
100%. It definitely feels a little bit more dangerous. Now we've brought in like because if you go ride with a huge pack, you're like, oh man, there might be a crash. People are gonna crash.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we had an awesome guest out here today. As we move on from topics, Grant Womack, founding member of BL13. I don't know if you noticed last week as well. We also had our special guest Simon the Sloth is jumping in with us today. I'm not sure he's going to have anything to say though. He's probably going to fall asleep. But Grant Womack, welcome to the program. Great to see you. Founding member of BL13. How are you doing today?
Hey guys. Yeah, pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Grant, well, Anna actually invited you on to the program. And Anna, you want to go ahead and kick us off here?
Yeah, so I've been chatting with a, would you call it colleague, a Zwift friend of yours, Grant. We were just sort of chatting in the background because he was talking about the new women's team with BL13. I was like, oh, so it'd actually be great to have you on the show. And apparently you're the face of BL13. You're the one for the interviews. So you came on.
Well, it seems that way, yeah.
So we always ask everybody, what's your sort of origin story, and then weave that into how BL13 got going.
Yeah, so I've got triple citizenship. I'm American. I was American born, lived there for 11 years, and then I lived in Australia for 10 years, and I've lived in the UK now for 20 years. So I've got a bit of a messed up accent, but hopefully you can ignore that. My background, I did track sprinting and cross-country running when I was younger, and in Australia, a lot of sports in the schools, so swimming and football and all that sort of stuff. So I've always been fairly active. And then when I moved to the UK, got into archery and did that for about 8 or 10 years. at a fairly high level. Started with the university team and then went on to shoot for the UK and the English teams. And then took a couple of years out when I had kids and actually had a back burner, and then got into running again and did that for a few years by myself, potted about. Eventually bought a road bike in 2016 and did that for a couple of years. Kind of got into triathlon because I already did the swimming side of it. And so did all that for a few years and then realized when I got to springtime in the UK after winter, I couldn't really keep up with the people on the road bike anymore because I wasn't training very much over the winter. So bought myself a turbo so I could sit inside and in the cold months and do some turbo training. And then it was like I think 2018, 2019 winter, I first downloaded Zwift, gave that a try, and I was trying a few different applications at the time and thought, yeah, this one's all right. Zwift's pretty good. I used it for workouts mostly, didn't really understand the whole racing side of it, and so kind of set it to one side for the summer. And then towards the end of 2019, I got to talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying, "Oh, hey, give the racing a go. There's more in it than that." So gave it a go, and just loved it. Sort of fell in love with it. And so then lockdown happened in early 2020, and I was already racing on Zwift, and a bunch of my teammates from outdoors were racing as well. So we started doing the WTRL TTTs over that summer, 2020, and then did some hare and hounds races, that sort of thing. And yeah, sort of loved it for everything. We were still able to chat on Discord and able to hang out and do like outdoor rides, but indoors. So there was that. And then Daz Carter, who a familiar name for most people.
Yeah.
He saw that we were racing on these TTTs and said, "Oh, can I join you guys?" Because he only lives about half an hour away, so he kind of knew some of the guys anyway. He asked if he could join us on some TTTs and show us the Zwift craft and how to race a bit better, and enjoyed that. And then towards the end of that year, he sort of said, "I'm thinking about maybe forming my own team with some of my teammates." He was at Bolt Racing Team at the time. And he asked if Ludlow Brewery wanted to join up with him. That's Ludlow Brewery's the team that I race with outdoors. And so there was Bolt, and there's Ludlow Brewery, and then there was Team 13 that was he was also a part of, and there was some members in there that we all joined forces and became BL13. So that's where the origin story for the name was.
I was
Yeah.
always wondering BL13. I never, it just struck well, so I never thought to question it. But yeah, that's cool. That's a really cool name origin story.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that we thought, well, should we change it to something that's a bit more catchy? But BL13 kind of stuck. It became more known as the team name and stood for more than just an origin story. So we stuck with it. But yeah, then there were about 15 of us that got together and started racing in the ZRL that winter. That was I think we did the second ever season of ZRL. Had 2 teams in there, and it was good. Yeah, we formed initially with the idea of being a competitive team, like to take risks but have fun. Really, we were there to have fun. Really, we wanted to try new tactics and fight for the front of the peloton rather than just sort of sitting back and waiting for the sprint finish at the end. So, and then I'd say we went from 15 members, and these days, after like 2.5 years, we've got about 80 members, and I don't know if that's slow or fast growing, but I think we grew pretty slowly in the beginning just because we wanted to make sure that we were choosing the right people for the team. People who wanted to live the ethos, who wanted to be team players and wanted to put themselves out there for the team rather than just being, having a big ego, that sort of thing. So I think we've been able to maintain that. And then last year I was going to say last year we made it into we finally won one of the Zwift Racing League. I think we came second in the overall competition, so we qualified for Premier Division, but sadly that was the season that it was dissolved. So we managed to make it in the Zwift knockouts, and then we've done the Underground Series, and had a couple of people in the Esports World Championships earlier this year, qualified last year, and so yeah, we've had kind of gone from strength to strength, and still got that I feel like a friendly, good, fun ethos, and a team that likes to take risks and put themselves out there.
Well, talking about risk taking, I have rated one of your moves on Zwift. There were two that have always stuck in my head. There was the BL13 move in the Legion Crit series, and there was Jammer's move in one of the Grand Prix races, the pen to finish move. So, can you tell me, because I heard you're the mastermind, I think, were you the DS behind, or were you the one racing as well behind that BL13 move in the crit series?
Well,
And can you
I was
explain
doing.
it for those listening? Yeah, like start to finish.
Yeah. So earlier that day, I had done a couple of these Legion races in prior weeks and saw that they were being commentated on, and they seemed to be sort of a procession to the sprint finish. It was always a bunch finish, and then earlier that day, one of our members, Mark Elding, sort of said, does anybody fancy giving this a bit of a go? Let's try something tonight. And so there were a few of us signed up already. We didn't really know what we had in mind, but we got into the race, and when we started going around, I noticed one of our teammates was going through which one was it, Castle Park Sprint, and he was heading off the front of the bunch there and just disappeared from the map, disappeared from the view. I thought, well, if he's gone through, nobody's chasing him because they couldn't really. Like, you go through a sprint, you try to get your name on the leaderboard, nobody really cares. So we thought, well, if we do that, that's not the last lap. I wonder if we could all disappear. And so we all sort of, I sort of said this over Discord. I said, well, should we give this a go? Go on the second last lap. A bunch of us push through. Nobody will see it coming because it's on the sprint, and maybe we can disappear off the front. And so that's what we did. We had about 8 or 10 guys all went for it, and 2 or 3 dropped back with I think maybe 2 or 3 other guys from other teams chased us. Then they all dropped back and into the pack, those guys. And yeah, 6 of us managed to get away and kept pushing. And I wouldn't say there was very much communication going on during that bit because we couldn't speak at all. It was you're not missing anything for commentary at that point. But no, it was hard work. And 5 of us made it to the finish, got the top 5. So it was great watching it. I still watch that video back from time to time.
That was one of the greatest moments. That was definitely one of the great. I mean, it's referenced often. I'm actually seeing if I can. I actually have. I have it right here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look here. This is history. Definitely, what went down here. You can actually see Zust, Mundell, Gamst, Elding, Utley, Womack's off the back now. The initial kicker there. They're right there chasing you guys. Oh, give me a second here, guys. So. They are, I mean, literally right there, the pack. You can almost see them behind coming to you guys. Mundell's chasing, and behind you, there it is, Hungry Wolves. And, I mean, just barely able to pull this off. You guys
I think we got out to about 15 seconds at one point. And then it came back,
you did.
Came back. We finished about a second ahead at the end.
And did you went on this little bump? It was this little bump out on.
It was through the Castle Park Sprint. We all went off.
Yeah, no, it's true.
There it is. Yep, you're right. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, because you guys were ahead for a long time, and it kind of just looked like a team time trial at this point. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, this was because I remember commentating the week after this, and we were talking about this a lot as to whether you could pull something like that off again. I think, like, hearing that backstory, I really enjoy, because it's saying that you knew that bit of the course, that there was like a little ghost in the system, I guess, where you sort of disappeared a bit, and so you could make the most of it. And so, it favors the people who know the game.
I think it was one of those things that kind of a perfect storm of a few different things had happened at once. It was a massive pack. People were disappearing off the front of the screen so that you couldn't see them. There were really big numbers in the race. We had a lot of teammates there. And so, yeah, it worked once. I don't know that it would necessarily work again.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you tried it again?
Oh, would I be willing to say if I had? It's hasn't been as successful again. We've tried a little plays off the front, but never done anything quite so successful.
The commentary through here real quickly, as this is coming through, and actually see the moment.
Sprint. They're interesting in their differences, Nathan. 63 kilo.
Look at BL13. Look at BL13. Totally organized.
Oh, they're on it.
This is completely an organized situation. They're going all in. completely all in. Power-ups being thrown down. I'm loving this. This is now if they can get off the front and rotate at a solid
Organized
7
chaos.
watts per kilogram. I mean, they need to not pull
This is
anything with
incredible.
them here.
They've got the top 5 spots now are all going to be the same team. They're going to go into super team time trial mode. If they can pull
I
this,
can't believe you guys pulled that off on a sprint section
Oh,
like
wow.
that too. Like on a sprint
Neither
section
could
like
we.
that through there, and all of you had arrow power ups, and it is slightly uphill through there. And I think a lot of times people they weren't going to be going for necessarily that sprint section, and so they were like, well, whatever, we'll bring that back. But they didn't realize that there's 5-6 bodies all continuing through. Like, anyways,
well, that's it.
immediately 7 seconds, and I'd be interested to see if something like that would work again now, especially with
See,
PD4 here. I wonder.
I don't know, because Grant, correct me if I'm wrong, there were no intermediary points at these banners, right?
No, I don't.
In this
No,
race?
that's right.
No. So I think, because we've tried to do it, right? Because I'm like, I love this move, let's try and do it. But in a ZRL where everyone is going for the sprints to get points, you can't, honestly, we've tried so many times to attack off the front, but you basically have to sprint just not to get dropped when people are going for points. And by the time you've done that, you can't sprint over a sprint. So I think if there were like banners that didn't have points, this kind of thing would work because you're not having everyone lift the speed so much.
Yeah, definitely. The ZRL is really difficult because there are points at every banner. These races that you make use of those courses though with a really big pack, they're difficult to find, I guess. Ones with massive packs these days.
I want a real quick question. So then you were behind some of the planning on this. There is a little bit of a question that pops up. Like, do you guys do a ton of planning? How much does all that planning ruin the fun? Because you're like about just having fun and going for it. Like, so do you guys just more show up and on the day? Like, well, like how does your team ethos work as far as that goes? Is there you throw caution?
I wouldn't say there's a huge amount of
have fun,
planning
or?
that goes. Yeah, it's it. I mean, we've got a messenger group that when somebody wants to race, they can just say, hey, should we get a team together and give this race a go? It's kind of drifts off in spring and summer quite a bit because people have gone back outside. But yeah, and I wouldn't say there's a huge amount of planning. It certainly doesn't take the fun away anyway. When you know there's something going to be happening.
You guys definitely are putting on some pretty cool series as well. There was like a sprint series that was going on for quite a while. What was the motivation there? What was happening with that?
We still do those on Wednesday evenings, UK time, Wednesday afternoons for you, Nathan, and probably Thursday morning, very early for you, Anna. They were a bit early for me. BL13 series, we've been doing those since sort of late last year, 2 races a week at 10 minutes past the hour and 35 minutes past the hour. And it was just, those were partly because we wanted to, I'll get into it a little bit, partly because we wanted to be a bit more involved in the community, but partly because we quite like that format. We started doing the sprint series, the Kirchmeier sprints on a Friday, and a lot of us were showing up to those, and I wouldn't say we ever made team moves there, but we would certainly be there week on week and trying to make it to the top because they were the sprint races to be at, but they kind of fell by the wayside a bit. So we thought, well, why don't we do something? And you see week on week, these races are now some of the most popular on Zwift, with really good ranking points and some big hitters turn up.
Yeah, I love it. And I've been dipping my toe a bit in the Zwift Ladies series, and I did notice in the first race I did in the pen, I was looking around at the jerseys. Obviously, we've got the next women's race team, so I've seen one of those jerseys out there. But I actually saw a BL13 one, and I kind of sat there because obviously I look at all the jerseys. It's my big pen activity. And I was like, wow, what's happening there? Like, has she done a ride and unlocked that? But then, yeah, I found out you guys are kicking off a women's team. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so we had a Spanish chap join us a couple months ago, Iker Morel, and he got right into the team. He's a really nice guy. But he asked if his wife could join as well, and she was a little bit hesitant at first because we didn't have any other ladies. We had one other lady in the team at the time, and we thought, that's sort of motivation for us to get a women's team going. We'd had the idea for a couple of years, but for whatever reason, it just hadn't come to fruition. So we thought, well, let's actually get it going now. And so Phil Utley, he's been really the one behind the driving force, along with Rosa, the Iker's wife, who has been trying to find ladies who are suitable for our team, basically. So the last couple of months, they've been asking and recruiting, and we found a few people who've joined the team. Some people were a bit hesitant at first, and people are nervous about racing at times. So yeah, there's been a little bit of wouldn't say persuasion, but we've had to sort of coach and give people some lessons in Zwiftcraft, basically, because they don't necessarily know how to race when you first come in. We had one lady who joined and didn't realize that she could actually change her bike. So we showed her how to buy a new bike and how to get new kit to make her go faster. And so she started winning races now. So yeah, it was the driving force behind that was partly to be more involved in the community, and because we've had this idea for a long time, but partly because we had these people who were partners of existing team members who wanted to race. And so yeah, it's I think we've managed to recruit some really top ladies, and hopefully we'll give everyone a run for their money in the coming seasons.
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm looking through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 12, 13 women on the Zwift Power just alone at this point. So pretty cool to see as it develops. And so that's going to be aiming specifically at Zwift Racing League as well. In the
Zwift Racing League, that's. I mean, eventually we'll get there. We might have enough for 2 teams by then. Fingers crossed. As Anna said, we've got some people who are racing in the Zwift Women's Series right now, and I think the Underground Racing Series Cy Bradley runs. He's hoping to have a women's league for that as well, and so we're fingers crossed we can get that going again and have a women's team in that. There's also, of course, the Zwift Grand Prix if it happens, and because they've got the whole women's league there, it'd be great to have BL13 represented.
100%, very cool. So where BL13, I feel like with the way that you've shown up, and I have to say, from my perspective of BL13, for some reason you guys are just kind of always across everything. Like, you guys are pure Zwifters for some reason. Like, I don't know where that's coming from or why, but if there's something going on, you guys, like you just said, you are a major part, it feels like, of the Underground series. Like that kind of just says it all. Like there's this top secret Zwifting series that only these certain individuals can get into, right? Like, I mean, yeah, of course we know Chasing Tour and we know this and we know that, or like we know that whatever the ZRL is putting on, but we also know boom, 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 boom. We put on our own series because Kirchmauer used to do this thing 3 years ago, and you see what I'm saying? Like, we're pulling out that you guys like are the in crowd. That's but kind of maybe not like the known crowd. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you're the cool kids. You're the cool Zwift kids. So, anyways,
well, it makes me feel good that you say that. No, it's nice. Underground Racing Series was kind of the idea behind that was, I can't remember exactly. It was I was speaking with Daz Carter, and he spoke with Simon Bradley and sort of said, is there any way we can run our own events? And we worked out with the club setting, you could start doing your own events and invite people along. So we thought, well, if we can run that as a race, and so we got together with NZ Bro and just did the very first Underground race, which was just run as a club event, but it had placings at the end. So that was where it sort of went from that to then we had a couple teams who asked to be involved, and yeah, that kind of grew into more and more of these top teams being involved in the Underground race series. So it was cool that it came into something that that's now hopefully going to be carried on year in, year out. But yeah, we like to dip our toes in everything. We also went in the Flamme Rouge race series this year. We had somebody who was very keen to enter a team and asked if anybody was interested, and we thankfully had about 10 or 12 people. And then this most recent one we paired up with, we've got some members in Switzerland who their outdoor racing club have a Zwift team, but because Flamme Rouge is A right down through the D category, essentially, anybody at any level could race. So we paired up with them and did much better than the second time through. than we did the first time through. And yeah, it was brilliant. We loved it. But it's just having, one person says, do you want to give this a go? And there's usually team members who say, yeah, absolutely. So, and like I've said earlier, that's the kind of people that we try to keep in the team. That's why we love that club ethos of being there.
Yeah, I love
So-
it. And I think, oh, sorry, Nathan, you go.
No, it's just one more on the tactics. I did not want to skip over the other move, and it was that actually you mentioned jammers at the beginning of the program. Was that a BL13 kit that was on? Like he was riding BL13 at that time with that jammers move? Is that right?
He wouldn't have
was
been
in
riding an
Velocio,
arcade
wasn't
now.
he?
I don't think so.
I think it was
he was
Velocio.
Oh,
riding
that was
Yeah,
the
that's
one.
right,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was when I talked about my two best moves on Zwift. One is the
Okay,
BL13
gotcha.
team.
Gotcha.
The other is the Jammers.
Right up there with
flag to finish.
jammers.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was like, wait, okay, hold on a second, just to clarify on that. But yeah, I don't know. Like the jammers move, it didn't win though. Like all the spotlight the jammers 100%. Like he goes on, and he has a BL13 like he's got a BL13 attitude to him. Like he just goes off the front all the time to make things fun. And I think that's also why I associated it, because I was like, yeah, that's exactly the same way that these guys ride. But yes, that's
And we've got Michael Gamst who often pairs up with jammers to do that sort of break. But no.
Yeah, I
we've got
gotta
the
ask.
powerhouse
Okay,
Gamst.
because I have you here, what is up with the Gamps crew? Both of them, Luis and Michael, like off the front. I mean, they don't even care like if it's gonna do anything. All they want to do is be. It's like they like to ride alone almost. How much they do it? It's crazy.
This is just the way that Michael works. He's absolutely awesome to race with. But because he was an in real life rider as well before he started Zwifting. This is the sort of thing he did outside as well. Just used to try to break, and sometimes he'd get away, sometimes he wouldn't. But you miss all the shots you don't take. And he said his longest ever break was 90 Ks solo, just a 90K TT solo in a road race and won. But yeah, that's the sort of thing he does, and he does it in Zwift, and yeah, sometimes successfully, sometimes not successfully. But
I'm wondering how it's been going for him since PD4 has changed. Has been racing? I haven't seen him racing much recently, but maybe that's because broadcasts have chilled out a little bit. But I wonder if it's been working better. I would love. He's the kind of guy I would like to ask, because he was making attempts regardless of the pack dynamics, and now I'm wondering if his attempts are being more successful or not.
I wouldn't say that he's been any more successful than, not that I've noticed anyway, but I'd say his placings are higher with PD4 overall, I guess. I don't know. It's you probably need to ask him.
So, Grant, you're kind of looking ahead to this coming, we go Zwift season, so the next winter for you guys. I've seen Aaron Bleakley, NZ Bro, come into chat saying, it was a bit of BS. You didn't make the Grand Prix selection. So is that the goal for coming into this next season? Is it getting both the men's and women's teams into a sort of premier sort of level, or is it hitting up the community racing more? What's the goal of BL13 going forward?
Zwift Grand Prix, yeah, that we did apply last time around. We're unsuccessful, and we think that hopefully we've addressed the points that maybe let us down in our application initially. So I would love to see a successful application. Having the women's team as well, I know that we've got so much strength there that we could potentially field a really good team for the Grand Prix. And yeah, so I would love to see both men's and women's team in there. It kind of depends on what happens though, what the next format is, if they decide to change it up again, or if they go back to something they've done before. We'll see.
Right on, yeah. Well, Grant, I really appreciate having you on, and I'm really excited to see what happens throughout the rest of the Zwift Women's Series, actually, that you got some athletes in there. I've been paying really close attention to that, and excited to see how your women's team develops into the next Zwifting season. And for all you out there maybe looking for a team, definitely, how can people find BL13? Obviously, they can jump into some of your events. I was just checking out your events that just went on the last couple of days. I'm seeing you had, it looks like 39 A's, 24 B's, 22 C's, all in your sprint series. Like, that was just yesterday. It's huge. And some of the top names I'm seeing: Simon Nielsen, Joachim Leeson, obviously your teammates. Christopher Watt was it? Christopher Watt probably absolutely loves your races because he's a trackie, so he just probably like shows up to every one of them because it's just a boom, like go kind of a race. But how can people find you besides those specific ways we just mentioned?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook. We've got a Facebook group that you can follow us, like and subscribe. We're on Zwift Power, of course, and all the information about our team, if you go to the About Us tab on Zwift Power, a lot of it there. And I think we may even have email addresses on there if anybody wants to email us separately. And then we've got, obviously, YouTube streams for some of the races. I know Daz does a lot of streaming, and Thomas Berry in New Zealand does streaming on Twitch. So yeah, all sorts of different ways you can contact us and get in touch. We'd love to hear from anybody.
I'm seeing all of the contacts are all in there actually over on your about on zwiftpower.com. That would be the best place to find the BL13 zwiftpower.com. And you have an Instagram and a Facebook, it looks like, as well. So, and yeah, Grant, Daryl, Gams, Thomas Berry, Steve Chambers, Spooner, all of them have streams as well. So big streaming community, it looks like.
Yeah, we try to do it when we can. I've struggled a bit with my streaming recently because they updated some of the Zwift graphics and my computer no longer copes with it. So I need to maybe upgrade my computer a little bit, but I'll get there eventually. So yeah, but no, Daz is definitely on there most weeks for streaming the BL13 series for sure.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you can get the potato up to speed. We'll be rooting for the potato. We appreciate having you on, Grant. It's been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We look forward to commentating and watching how BL13 grows. And we got to see some more moves like that. We need a new BL13 move. I'm gonna get into one of these races with you guys just to make it happen with you. We'll I gotta go with a BL13 move. I gotta be in one sometime soon. That'd be absolutely awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Can't wait.
Cheers. Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot, Grant. Great to have you. And
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
Well, BL13, good to hear from them. Well organized, it seems like, actually. And, it sounds like, talk about quite the sporting history for Grant, coming from archery and then probably moving all over the place, it sounds like, too. But then I wasn't expecting to hear that, like, a bike in 2016. Like, I was like, all right, that's, jumping right on in.
And that was
right into the virtual world, it seems like, pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of probably like everyone's journey gets on and just is using it for workouts and a way to keep fit during the off season, and then they discover racing and their whole world changes. I liked hearing that move that they had was pre-planned based on that little glitch that around that specific corner after that sprint, the dots disappeared. Because it's that moment, it's almost like in New York, where a lot of the time when you're going in and out of the course and taking like the left-handers and doing shortcuts, the whole map changes down the bottom. Have you noticed that? So it'll just go flat. And it is, in a group where there's 100 people, a great place to attack because you become invisible as those little dots on the screen because the map has changed. So interesting they found that little glitch and kind of made the most of it, because I was really surprised. I mean, it was like a perfect storm in that race because it was the Legion Critch series. A lot of the Legion riders were in there, like the Williams brothers, and they're not Zwifters. So if you could find a way to have an advantage because you're a hardcore Zwifter, it would probably pay off. And it did for them. Like, that was phenomenal to watch. Like, basically an attack with like 7 of them. It ended up with 5 TTing off the front. Like, I haven't seen that again.
Yeah, definitely. It's a moment in time that is referenced over and over and over. I mean, literally, it's become it's on like Donkey Kong, right? It's become kind of almost that kind of level of being able to reference a move because it is so iconic. It was one of the best in history. If you haven't checked it out, you can go back and it's still obviously over on our YouTube in the Legion Crit Series race number 4 that was in December of 2020. I want to say that was that long ago. Is that right?
Wow, that does not feel that long ago.
No, not 2020. No, hold on a second. 2021. I was gonna say 2021.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Gotcha.
Yeah. And the like kind of pandemic vortex where time lost all meaning.
It did. It definitely did. Well, all right. Next up, we are heading into this week's fashion. What do we got here? This kit was now. I haven't looked a whole lot at this kit for a while, but it was a new kit that caught my eye when it first got put in. And the main reason it got my eye is because Rachel Elliott is a part of this team. That was the main reason. It was a huge deal to me. Is because Rachel Elliott kind of showcased it almost because she was in a race and all of a sudden there's this new kit she's wearing with this team. And we were like, wait, what is this? Where is this coming from? So Newberry Velo. This is a sweet kit, actually.
Yeah, so I was on a ride, and two of the people on the ride, Kylie Frost and her daughter Samantha, were gifted this kit. Samantha has ankylosing spondylitis, a type of arthritis, and she'd done like a fundraiser ride. She's only like 10 years old, and they had gifted them the kit as like a good job, and they were wearing it. I was like, this kit is awesome. And I did see just there that Rachel Elliott is on the team, so it looks like they're in real life group as well as a on Zwift group. Now you can't see it from this angle, but the kit on the back has like the Newberry Velo logos, which is this circle with black, hot pink and white in it. So very like asymmetrical. So it just looked awesome on the kit because it's all got like straight lines, and then suddenly on the back you've just got these kind of big circles, and it really, really stands out. And I love myself a simple color kit where it's just 3 colors. So they've got that kind of deep purple, the hot pink and the white, and nothing else is added. And so it's super striking when you're riding with them, especially when they pair it with that pink Tron.
Yeah, you can see also here a little bit of the kit. I brought it up on their website. In that circle you're talking about, it's a little different in game. I think a little bit different. Well, maybe
it looks pretty similar. Yeah,
it
looks similar.
Yeah, it is similar. All right. So one thing I noticed about kits is when you have a consistent color in this way on Zwift, it just works really well. Yeah, like something about the virtual world and a consistent color. Just when you try and match too many colors through a kit, it just something about the pixelation just doesn't always. Maybe it has something to do with how many things you have to work with too. But I think that's always a good take. So let us know what you think. What did you get? Did you get any response on this one, or did you use the next thing? I think you used the next thing actually for your promotion.
I totally forgot to put it up. Sorry.
No all good. I was looking for it, and I was like, oh, well, what's the rating? What are you giving this? I give this a solid 8.5. Actually, like this is pretty high up.
Yeah,
8.5, even 9.
I'd give it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8. Just the simplicity of it, and it immediately caught my eye, and that's what you want out of the kit. So it's perfect. So great job, Newberry Velo.
Good point.
I love it. Yeah, perfect.
I like what you did here with the garage pick. That this is a 4-way battle. I mean, because they look like they need to battle. Look at those avatars. They're ready to like, what's going on?
I know, right? So I was in a group ride, and there was a bit of chit chat about the backwards caps. I didn't start this chat; like I was just an invisible member of the group ride, just kind of riding with my music on. But
right.
I was watching.
You were like using some other avatar to get people to talk about fashion.
I know exactly, my fashion avatar who just comes in and like pokes the bear. But so there was this chat going on about these backwards caps and how they're all rubbish. But they like the concept of the backwards cap. So they like the backwards cap. They just hate all the designs. And so I was like, okay, let's pull up all the designs. So we've got the off the map. We've got that terrible one from Zwift Companion. We've got the Tour de Zwift 2023, and we've got this black and gold. I think it's like level 60 unlock. So, and I think I agree with the chat that was happening in the group, which is they just need one that's just one color. So like just a color, maybe that's with a simple logo.
Okay. The blue one though is the one that's the closest to one color, and you hate it the most. It feels like
because it's not one color. They've like mucked it up, it up by adding the blue. Yeah, like it should just be like that one. The Zwift Companion one could just be all black with the blue color of the Companion Z on it.
Most hats have like one color and a logo on them, and that's it. Right? Not a bunch of design. I think you're right. I think it should be more of a peripheral logo rather than this whole new design to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Christina Grossman like wears these backwards caps all the time with absolute pride, and every time I look at her avatar, I'm like, I hate that backwards cap. It throws off the real color combination of the whole look. But I think like what I would like if you had to ask me like what is a hat I'd like, it would be like a stone cold gray color, so kind of like a dark gray, and then just with like a white lightning bolt.
Ah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, so simplicity,
Yeah.
like way more
Yeah.
simplicity on the caps. And you know, I think that goes for accessories across the board. That the accessories I'm tending to put on are accessories that are not complicated. The accessories that I'm
Yeah.
tending to put on are accessories that are one color, maybe two with just like an accent thing very lightly. Because if you look, like, I actually have Zwift up here and in my garage, if you look at what I'm wearing, the Vision Kit's kind of busy, but then how I accent it is just black shoes, black socks,
Yeah.
and give me some slightly blue. There we go. Like, and the reason I use this cap is like because it's plain. And the reason I use these glasses is because they're mainly plain. I try and go for the plainest accessories. that I
Nathan,
can.
I'm not like I don't know what you're doing there. Like
What?
you've added in. So like the number one rule I have is like don't add any new colors that aren't in the kit.
Yeah.
Like,
That's only
what are
because
you-
these are
what
the
are you
only. These
doing?
ones are the
oh
only
my
ones.
God, no.
These okay.
This
So
is
what?
not
What do you want me
good.
to do here? What would you look like? Look, this. Like
No,
no. There's like
no.
what that like that guy like
Yes,
this. I did
plain-
this for a
plain
while. I
black.
did do these for a while, but like that's the thing is like. Look, variety. After a while, you can't just do the same old thing. So I was like, well, I'll change it up just a little bit. So I was like this, and this doesn't change it up too much, right? Like it's a little different. Well, anyways, yeah, I think this is
I don't
fine.
know. Like
This is
Okay.
fine.
I give
Everything's
that like
fine.
a solid 2.
What, the whole kit? Like the whole
Like I
kit?
think like your whole look is about a 2. Like because your hat is. It doesn't match anything. It's this random purple,
I
and your
agree.
kit's
I
got a
agree
blue in
100%.
it.
I agree
Yeah.
100% that there isn't a lot to work with. But I'm not gonna blame my like. I'm like, yeah. There's like, what am I gonna do here, right? Like, there's just not a lot. So yeah, this like, so I need to get like some sort of higher rating off of like, what do you got to work with, and you did the best you could. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there something better I could have done? I guess I could just go nothing. Like, there, fine. We'll just go nothing.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
yeah,
better,
and then I gotta
better.
change my hair. I just like, so now I have to change the hair. Anyways, all right, I'm done. That's
There we go. Yeah. See, I unlocked the animal print kit. So for the Zwift Ladies League, I was like, I'm just going to put all the animal kit stuff that I got on, the socks and the jersey. And I think that's why it was so terrible. I looked at my avatar. I was like, you deserve to have had a terrible race because you look like a hot mess. So there we go. I mean,
good stuff.
maybe gaming, people behind gaming stuff like this, maybe let me know how hard is it to do a sliding scale. So like that hat you had on that had the purple, like how hard would it be just to have a setting where you sliding scale the color of it so you match it to your team kit, right? Because I think at the moment, like we've got so many, the disconnect here is like you've got so many team kits, which are awesome, but all the accessories are random. Like they're not, you can't color slide them to match your kit. So everyone kind of just goes really plain or just really other end like you had, which was adding in a whole bunch of new colors.
yeah, totally, exactly. And if you, that's the thing is, I do think simplicity in a lot of ways when you're trying to do these mixes and matches is pretty good. So, anyways, that's like that on the sliding scale. That would be cool if you could take if they would just add a sliding scale to everything, or maybe not everything, but enough things that are fairly make sense for it that you'd be able to then match things to other pieces. You'd be able to do that.
Yeah,
with
like
the
that
stuff that are more
level-
generic kits. You know, you couldn't do that to
Like the
in real
level
life ones.
59, yeah, the level 59 backwards cap. It's bright yellow. Just sliding scale it so you can make that blue or purple or green or something, you know, change it up a little.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That's a great idea, actually. All right, well, what are you up to for the next week? Are you going to be racing now, of course, because we said we should be training? I mean, what's going to be happening here?
I've got a triathlon, the last race of the season next week.
Oh, wow.
And it's getting freezing. It's
Have you been
getting cold
swimming?
here. So
Are you swimming? Are you running? Like, what's going on?
I am a little bit. So I swam last week in the ocean, and I'll get back in the ocean tomorrow. A friend of mine were like, "Oh, look, they've added this new event. You can swim 4K and then do a 20K bike and a 5K run." I was like, 4K? Oh, I'm not at that level. So no, it's a short swim, so it'll be fine, and it'll be quite cold. So yeah, next week will be a bit of run training. I've been doing the Zwift running league with Team Fearless, which has been awesome. So set another mile PR yesterday, I think like a 5:45. So I think the running's like pretty good. Yeah, the running's all right. Then I messaged my gravel friend last night and was like, "Oh, the weather looks like kind of torrential rain on Sunday. I don't know how hardcore you are. Did you want to go for a gravel ride?" And she's like, "Yeah, sounds good." I was like, I need to like go buy a jacket or something. So I was messaging Amy Munda7 being like, "What jacket should I get?" So yeah, it looks like I'll be going out for a long gravel ride in like the pouring rain.
I have a little friend joining us. Hello.
I do. Yep. And he's off. So there we
All
go.
right.
What about you, Nathan?
I scared him off. All you have to do is talk to the child, and they're, "Oh wait, there's something expected of me now."
I'm out.
I'm out of here. So I think tomorrow is going to be the first test of the collarbone on a mountain bike. So we're not going to go super crazy or anything, but we're going to ride super chill out to the trails and do more of a skills day, not really go hard or anything. TTT tonight. And then on the weekend, essentially we are going to be in slightly peak mode, like not real season peak mode, but you kind of are getting ready for a race because the following weekend's our first Wisconsin opener for the Midwest. You know, there's already been racing obviously down south. Sea Otter just happened. We were out at Moab Rocks, etc. But this is like the Midwest opener because we have snow on the ground almost till now. So yeah, so it's just peak time. I'm going to find some racing to do, try and work on some anaerobic efforts, maybe a little bit more teasing out the FTP, but mainly looking for ways to do things that make me breathe harder than I possibly can to get as much oxygen into my bloodstream. That's what I'm going to be doing. So, yeah, so that's what's up. Outside of that, we're looking to our first Wars race. Anybody who is in the Midwest, as the race season is kicking off, make sure to contact us. We love to meet up with people at races, hang out, do pre-rides, and chat. We have already had some people reaching out, and it's really cool, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the in real life connection with Swifters. It's cool. I do actually, I want to shout out as well, Team Italy and Team Sisu. All this podcast stuff I do as a volunteer basis, and it's really appreciative when community members have noticed that. And yeah, Team Italy and Team Sisu have sent me some actual bike kit to wear, which I can
that's amazing.
get out when I go out on my gravel bikes. Yeah, so they're in the post, so I'll send some photos and put them on my Instagram when I get them. But yeah, I really, really appreciate that. So I'm not asking for anything, but when teams, yeah, they've sort of Sisu had that, rated that gravel kit the highest with the forest green. And then he's like, "It's in the post. It's going to come to you." I was like, "Oh, this is epic." So yeah, thank you to Sisu and Team Italy. That's, yeah, really, really appreciated.
I saw a picture of the Team Italy one too. It looks pretty awesome. That
good.
actually looks really good. I just pulled it up again. And I'm like, well, maybe we have to take a look at that sometime in the future for some well, we will. We'll see the real thing.
We will.
You'll just wear it on the podcast. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
That'll be great. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in on the whole in real life thing, as well as you said with meetups. We will have on the Vision website. I know we've been promoting this for a while. I was looking at the page that is not live yet. Vision's website isn't live yet, but when it is, we will have in real life meetups specifically around cycling events scheduled on there. So be on the watch out for that as well. That's going to be super exciting. And if you want to check out the episodes for all these podcasts, make sure to head on over to ZwiftCommunityLive.com. You can find them all there or anywhere that you can download a podcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We've been live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you like the content, hit follow, subscribe, comment. It helps out a ton, and you will get notifications anytime We do go live. You turn on those notifications. I'm Nathan Guerra, Anna Russell, and we will see you for episode number 42 next Thursday. Same time, same place, as always. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and ride on.